Hello, it's Kim here from Pilates and Pyjamas from Stonehouse Fitness. Today's workout is going to be lying on the ground, so supine. We're going to take our feet hip width apart. So if you remember, toes out, heels out takes you to approximately hip width, centre of the ankles, centre of the knees, centre of the hips. I'm going to turn this way and I'm going to slowly roll down towards the mat. Now, if you're in a position that you can see yourself in a mirror, it is perfect. You'll be able to see exactly what is going on. But what I want you to do now is be aware. So quickly look up, check your knees aren't dropped in or dropped out, weights evenly on the feet. Elongate your neck. I want the chin and the forehead to be roughly in line. So you're not back like this. If you are, grab that block, stick that block underneath. Small one's good, or a small towel. Try and keep it low. Open up across the back and across the chest and relax the arms. Now I'm going to get you to take your hands into a diamond and place them on your pelvis. So I've got the heels of my hand on the bony bit and I've got a diamond. And all I'm going to do is tilt the pelvis backwards and forwards, pelvic tilt, back and forward. I'm not too worried now if your knees are wobbling around a bit. Often I'll be a bit more fussy about that, but for this moment, all I'm doing is getting you to warm up and just be aware of your pelvis. Make sure you're not squeezing your bottom. It is just an up and down movement. Up. Just lower the back, smaller back into the mat, and lift up. Come back centre. Now when you come back centre, that diamond, the thumbs and the fingers should be in alignment. If you're tilted too far back, the fingers will be high. If you're tilted too far the other way, your thumbs will be up. So just be aware of that as well. You should have a neutral spine, so a little bit of gap underneath. The rib cage is pushed down into the mat. Arms are relaxed. Now just be aware now of your body, and I want you, with the next exercise, to really concentrate on keeping that pelvis where it is. So I'm going to put my hands, fingers in the crease of the legs, just up and gently relaxed so I can feel what's going on. And I'm going to breathe out as I take the leg away, in, as I come back. And keeping this really simple. We're trying to keep the other leg still, because if we're keeping it still, the pelvis should be still. So really concentrating on your pelvis here. So if you can't remember the Pilates breathing, there is a video about Pilates breathing, explaining a little bit of how and why and when we breathe in and when we breathe out. If you're new, don't worry too much about the breathing. You're breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, and generally we breathe out on effort. So I breathe out here and breathe in as I come back in. Everything is slow and steady. In Pilates, less is more. And it's a heel slide. My foot isn't coming fully off the mat, it's just gliding over the top of the mat. Okay, coming back centre. So I'm hoping there that you will have felt what's going on with your lower back, that it will be fairly stable. I'm going to get you to try one more thing. Put the fingertips underneath the lower back, if that's comfortable. If that really is uncomfortable for your shoulders, then you're not going to be able to do this bit. You can just carry on. Now what I want you to do, engage your core. So again, if you don't remember the zip and hollow, the engaging of the core, there's a little video on that. Have a look and learn that one. But those of you that know, you're going to zip and hollow. So pull your belly button back towards the spine, and as you breathe out, slide that leg away. Now, if you're doing it correctly, you won't feel the pressure on your hands change. If you're not doing it correctly, as you take the leg away, you will feel your hands either push into your back, push into your hands, or arch away. So it really helps to see what is going on. Okay, coming back centre. We're going to move on now. We're going to do knee drops. So knee drops, I'm going to turn towards you so you can see briefly. There's not enough room here for me, so I'm going to have to tip my head up. You might not be able to see this very well, but again, feet hip width apart. I've got my hands here, and we're going to drop onto the side of the foot and back up. So I'll turn around so that I can do it comfortably. Exactly the same position. You didn't need to move, so your head should be relaxed, lengthened, upper body relaxed. Let's just take the hands gently onto the side. Engage the core, and this time you're going to try and stop yourself rocking. I'm going to show you what goes wrong, what can happen if you go too far. So if I go too far and fine to there, either my leg starts to move, or, I'm really exaggerating this here, but you can see if I go too far, my back starts to come away from the ground. Feel it, be really aware of it. Put the hands here and feel as the leg goes down to the side and comes back up. Breathing out. Breathing in, trying to make that as slow as you can. Breathing out. Breathing in. Now again, when you know you're confident that you're doing that correctly, I'm going to add a little bit for your memory, a little bit for coordination. Let's do one more. Even it up both sides. We try and always do the same amount on both sides. Take the arms up and relax them. As the arm goes out, I'm going to get you to take your arm out to the side and bring it back. So this makes it a lot harder to concentrate. You can do opposite arm. Don't really mind whether you do opposite arm, opposite leg, same arm, same leg. I think it's actually easier if you do opposite, so it rather depends. But if you see, I'm already wobbling. I can feel myself wobbling because it is very much harder when you're trying to concentrate on the exercise. Okay, you can do a few more of those, and then I'm going to get you to join me in the next exercise, exactly the same position. So again, just get yourself comfortable. If you've got a small towel under your head, that's fine. We're going to do knee folds. So here, what I want you to do is feel the bones, the bony part here, and just let your fingers slip over so that you can feel those deep abdominals. Breathe in. As you breathe out, you just slowly bring the leg up to tabletop and take it back down. Now if you're doing it correctly, you shouldn't feel any movement on your fingers. So it's in, bones here, fingers in. You shouldn't feel very much movement. You need to be aware of what's going on with your back. Very easy as you do that to either arch or drop the back. So exactly the same as before. We're looking ideally to bring the knee directly above the hip and the foot into tabletop as if you're putting a tray. So my foot's softly flexed and down. Breathe out as you lift, in as you come down. And again, be really aware of what's going on with your pelvis. So a lot of what I'm doing today is for the pelvis. Okay. Now for the next workout, what I often suggest people do is, if you want to, you can stick a thick block or towel between your knees, or a ball, a small ball, anything to keep the knees from dropping out or in. Try to keep everything in alignment. So a thin block isn't really any good. It needs to try and keep the feet about hip width apart. Now I want you to take your arms away from the floor. Again, we're working on this stability, but this time we're going to move the bottom off the ground. You might have come across this exercise before whereby you've been squeezing your bum to come up and it's sort of a bottom exercise and you're lifting. That isn't what we're looking for here. What I'm looking for is to keep the pelvis still. So what I don't want is you lying on your arms and pressing into your arms. I want us to really use this area of the body to lift. So you can take the hands up. So a couple of options. You can either just drop your elbows out to the side or drop them across, something whereby your elbows are off the ground. So I just float them. I don't like using a block, so I'm going to take that away, but you have that option. If you're not using a block, try and keep the feet hip width apart. Breathe in, and as you breathe out, peel up off the floor. If you suffer with osteoporosis, you need to be a little bit cautious here because of the movement on the spine. So use your own judgment here as to whether you should be doing this. If you know you've got weak bones, it isn't worth risking doing a peel up and peel down. You might just want to gently lift. If you're unsure, check with your healthcare professional. But this one really is good. You will tell if you're weak on one side. Try and keep the bottom relaxed. And release. So I'm keeping with the really simple versions today. What I'm going to do is I will re-video this, making it a little bit harder each time, so that week on week you can actually do the same workout and take it on a bit. And any time you find it too hard, you can come back. Okay, next exercise. Breathe out. As you breathe in, as you breathe out, bring the knee into the chest. And we're going to take the leg up in the air. Now this is where, if you have your strap nearby, if your hamstring is tight, instead of doing this, I want you to straighten that leg, so it might be that you're there, and then bring that foot as close as it will come to your body and feel the stretch in the back of that right leg. It doesn't really matter, if you picked up your left leg, you'll do the right one next time. Now again, keep the arms relaxed down to the ground. I don't want you tensing the upper body. It's all about getting the stretch in the back of the hamstring. And as you can see, I've put my pyjama bottoms on today for the Pilates in pyjamas. Just stretch. Now release. Take that foot down, open out, off. So outside of the ankle is on the knee, as you can see. And I'm going to open out to the side and stretch through. Now, you have a choice. If you're feeling a nice stretch there already, you can stay there. I find a lot of my clients like to come up on their elbows. You can adjust the position of your foot, so wherever's good. Or I like to come all the way up for me, and again, because I come up a bit higher, I'm moving my foot away to get that stretch. So from the front, that is this position. Swing myself back round. If you come up, roll yourself back down, grab your strap if you need it, and take that leg back, other leg up in the air. I'm taking that in the really here in the foot. If you take it too far forward, you're going to be pulling on little bones and you're putting extra strain. I'm not worried about getting a flexed foot. I want you to make sure it's nice and secure. Hold it there. Now, if you're not using a strap, if you're like me, you've got quite loose hamstrings, avoid pulling on the back of the knee. I want you to either pull here or hold down a little bit lower. But try and get that leg as straight as you can and just stretch. You're feeling the stretch through the back of the leg. And then from there, let's take the outside of the ankle onto the other knee and open that leg away. The rest of the body should still be in roughly the same alignment as you had before. Just enjoy the stretch. And again, you can come up or you can come all the way up. I'm going to just stay down here this time, open out, and just adjust the foot until it feels good. So if it feels too tight, don't come up. This is fine, as long as you're getting that stretch. Okay, going back to the first leg, you're going to take the leg up in the air, and this time you're going to get it as high as, I want your ankle above your hip. So if you can get that nice and straight, if you've got loose hamstrings and you weren't using a strap, you can do the leg circles here. If for any reason that leg is there, that's going to really affect your pelvis. We've been working it quite hard, so what I want you to do this time is bend the knee slightly, take the weight of that knee over your body, and slow circles. And again, feel what's going on with your hips. You're going to need to zip and hollow. You're going to need to be aware of what's going on with your pelvis. Take it the other way. Using all those core muscles. We're doing 2 or 3 in one direction and then change. Really try and keep the other knee still. I can feel my knee moving there. Slight cheat is to push this heel into the mat, which will help the muscles in the hip hold you in position. You're going to be really aware of what's going on with your lower back. Can you feel it moving a little bit? If it is, maybe make that movement smaller. Maybe you need to come in a bit closer. When you've had enough, rest down. Remember, you don't have to do every single exercise in this, every single repetition that I do. If 3 is enough for you, 3 is fine. If it's too easy, maybe you need to move on to one of the harder videos. But for now, this is all there is, so you're going to have to be stuck with this one for the next few weeks. Taking the leg up. So exactly the same thing. If you can take it straight, you're going to come here. If you can't, bend it in a little and take that. Foot is soft. This isn't the ankle, it is all coming from the hip, all from the hip. And the other direction. Okay, from there, hug that knee into your chest. Bring the other knee in, join. Okay, just a little bit more loose staying. We're going to take the feet down. Again, when you take the feet down, try and take them down one at a time. Control, hold the core as you go down, rather than letting the legs just plop. Okay, next exercise we're going to do, remember the knee drops we did earlier? Very similar, but I'm going to ask you to put your feet together. So, feet together. And I'm going to go to the side. I'm taking my arms out to the side, nicely relaxed, opened out. And I'm just going to lift and take that across to one side. So again, with the breath, I'm trying to keep the shoulders down. I'm going onto the side of one foot, the other foot is coming away from the floor. And I'm getting a lovely stretch all the way down the body here. Trying to keep the shoulders on the floor. Now again, if you know you've got osteoporosis or your back's a little bit on the stiff side, control how far you go, absolutely fine. If you find that that's too much, do keep both feet on the floor. Keeping both feet on the floor will reduce the movement, reduce the range of motion, but again, you don't have to go the whole way. Listen to your body, keep it nice and slow. Now, take the legs nice and wide. What you really want is that if you took it all the way down, your knee would just about touch your foot, so you're about that far apart, and do exactly the same thing, breathing out. So we're not worried this time, we're moving the pelvis. I've asked you to try and keep it really still, but we want to get some movement in there. Make it nice and loose. Even up on both sides, bring the feet back together. And just a couple more pelvic tilts at the end to finish that off. That brings you to the end of that workout. We've just worked on pelvic stability there. If you're unsure about any of the exercises, I am posting videos of each individual exercise. Now some of them are very, very obvious, but with a little bit more detail about the various versions of the exercise you can do, so how to make it harder, how to make it easier, exactly what you're looking at. So they might be worth looking at individually. If you're struggling with one of the exercises, not quite sure what I'm doing, have a look at those videos and you will learn how to do them properly. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.